The stars were quiet that night. Captain Kim Taiho stood on the bridge of the United Earth naval vessel Indomitable, watching the endless darkness through the main viewport. His ship was on routine patrol along the outer edges of human-claimed space. Nothing exciting ever happened here. That was the point. Boring patrols meant safe borders. Taiho was a tall man with tired eyes and gray hair at his temples. He had served in the Navy for 20 years. He had seen battles and lost friends. Now he commanded a patrol ship far from Earth, watching empty space and counting the days until his next shore leave. Lieutenant Park Saw-hee sat at the communications station behind him. She was young, barely 25, with sharp eyes and quick fingers. Her job was to monitor all signals in the area. Most of the time, she heard nothing but static and the distant hum of distant stars. But tonight was different, so he sat up straight in her chair. Her screens flickered with strange patterns. A signal was coming through, weak and broken, using a frequency she had never seen before. "Captain," she said, her voice careful. "I have something." Taiho turned from the viewport. "What is it?" "A signal. Unknown origin. Unknown frequency." She paused, working her controls. "It is not human." The bridge went silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing and looked at Sahi. In humanity's short time among the stars, they had encountered other species. But those species wanted nothing to do with Earth. They called humans Deathworlders. They said Earth was a planet of monsters, where the gravity crushed bones and the weather killed without warning. They avoided humanity like a disease. "Can you clean it up?" Taiho asked, walking to her station. Sahi nodded and ran the signal through every translator program they had. It took several minutes. The bridge waited in tense silence. Then finally, a voice came through the speaker's dot. It was weak and filled with static. But the words were clear. "Please ... anyone. We are dying. The Korath have come. They are killing everyone. Our children, our elders ... please ... We are the Velith of Sereth. We beg for help ... please." The message repeated, over and over. The same desperate words. The same dying hope. Taiho felt something cold settle in his chest. He had heard distress calls before. He had saved colonists from failing stations and rescued crews from damaged ships. But this was different. This was not a ship in trouble. This was an entire species crying out as it was murdered. "Where is it coming from?" He asked Dot, so he pulled up the coordinates. "A system called Sereth. It is 3 weeks away at maximum speed." She hesitated. "Captain, this signal was not meant for us." "What do you mean?" "The frequency. The encoding. It was aimed at the Galactic Concord." Sahi looked up at him. They were calling the other species for help. The ones who call themselves civilized. The ones who refused to speak with Earth. Taiho understood. The Velith had no idea humanity existed. They had sent their cry for help to the species who had ignored Earth for a century. The species who thought humans were too dangerous, too primitive, too frightening to deal with. Had the Concord responded? Taiho asked. Sahi checked her screens. "No, sir. There is no response from anyone. The signal has been broadcasting for 3 days. 3 days. For 3 days, a species had begged for help, while the galaxy stayed silent." Taiho looked at his crew. He saw the same anger in their eyes that he felt in his heart. Humans knew what it meant to suffer. They knew what it meant to fight for survival. Earth's history was written in blood and fire and desperate last stands. Humanity had survived ice ages and plagues and wars that almost destroyed everything. They had never turned away from a cry for help. "Open a channel to Earth Command," Taiho ordered. Sahi obeyed. Within minutes, Taiho was speaking directly to Admiral Headquarters on Earth. He transmitted the Velith distress call and waited for a response, but it came quickly. The message was simple. Confirm receipt. Fleet mobilization in progress. Hold position and await further orders. Taiho read the message twice. Fleet mobilization. That meant Earth was taking this seriously. That meant humanity was going to respond. Lieutenant Sohi looked at him with uncertainty. Captain, the Velith did not ask for us. They do not even know we exist. And the Korath. We know almost nothing about them. We only know that they are powerful enough to make the Concord afraid. Taiho nodded slowly. She was right. This was not humanity's fight. The Velith had not called for Earth. The galaxy had made it very clear that humans were not welcome among the stars. They were outcasts, feared and avoided, but none of that mattered. They asked for help, Taiho said quietly. They did not ask for the right species or the wrong species. They asked for anyone who would listen. He looked at his crew, and we listened. Sahe was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. Yes, sir. The next several hours were busy. The Indomitable received updated orders. They were to proceed to a rendezvous point and join the assembling fleet. Other ships were already on their way. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers. Earth was sending everything it had. Taiho stood on the bridge as his ship jumped to faster-than-light travel. The stars stretched into lines of light, and then they were gone, replaced by the strange glow of hyperspace. He thought about the Velith. He wondered what they looked like. He wondered if any of them were still alive. He wondered if they would be afraid of the humans who came to save them. Earth called itself many things. Humanity had many names for itself. But the galaxy had given them only one name. Deathworlders. They meant it as an insult. They meant it as a warning. They thought it would keep humans small and quiet and afraid. They were wrong. Looked at the hyperspace glow and made a silent promise. The Velith had sent their cry into the darkness, hoping someone would answer. Someone had, and the galaxy was about to learn what happened when Deathworlders went to war. The Indomitable flew on through the void, carrying its crew toward a battle that would change everything. Behind it, more ships followed, hundreds of them, thousands of humans who had heard the same cry and felt the same anger. The Velith did not know it yet. The Korath did not know it yet. The Galactic Concord did not know it yet, but they would. Earth had answered. And Earth never abandoned those who called for help. The diplomatic station called Harmony Prime floated in neutral space, far from any planet or star. It was a massive structure, built by dozens of species working together over centuries. Here, the Galactic Concord met to discuss trade, treaties, and the future of civilized space. Ambassador Yun Minji walked through its gleaming corridors with her head held high. She was a small woman with black hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her face showed no emotion. Her eyes showed everything. She was angry. Other species moved away from her as she passed. Some stared with open fear. Others whispered to each other in languages she did not understand. She knew what they were saying. She had heard it all before. Deathworlder, monster, primitive, dangerous. Minji had served as Earth's ambassador to the Concord for 5 years. In that time, she had learned many things. She had learned that the galaxy was old and tired. She had learned that most species cared only for themselves. She had learned that fear was a powerful thing. And she had learned that the Concord was a collection of cowards hiding behind pretty words. Today, she would test them. The High Assembly Chamber was enormous. Hundreds of delegates from dozens of species sat in curved rows that rose toward a domed ceiling. Strange colors and shapes filled the room. Some delegates were tall and thin like glass. Others were short and wide like stones. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. Minji walked to the central platform and stood alone. She felt their stares pressing down on her. "I request permission to address the assembly," she said in a clear voice. The chamber fell silent. The chief arbiter, an ancient creature that looked like a floating cloud of light, granted her request. Minji activated her display. The Velith distress call filled the chamber. That desperate voice echoed off the walls. The words hung in the air like smoke. "Please ... anyone. We are dying." When the message ended, Minji looked at the delegates. "This call has been broadcasting for 5 days," she said. "The Velith of Sereth are being destroyed by the Koreth Dominion. Their cities are burning. Their people are being killed or taken as slaves. They sent this message to you, to the Concord, to the civilized species of the galaxy." She paused, and no one answered. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "I demand to know why," Minji continued. "I demand to know why this assembly has done nothing while an entire species dies." The Ilari delegate rose. It was a tall being made of crystal that caught the light in rainbow patterns. Its voice was like music. "Ambassador Yoon, the Concord understands your concern. The situation with the Velith is ... unfortunate, but you must understand. The Koreth Dominion is powerful. They control many systems. They have many ships. Intervention would destabilize the entire region." "Destabilize?" Minji's voice was sharp. "The Velith are being slaughtered. What is more destabilizing than genocide?" Another delegate spoke. This one was short and covered in gray fur. "The Velith are a minor species. They have little to offer the galaxy. The cost of defending them would be too high. The Concord must think of the greater good." "The greater good," Minji repeated. "You mean your own safety?" The chamber erupted in angry noise. Delegates shouted protests. Some demanded that Minji be removed. Others simply stared at her with cold eyes. The chief arbiter called for silence. "Ambassador Yoon," the arbiter said slowly, "the Concord does not act rashly. We have survived for 10,000 years by choosing our battles carefully. The Koreth are not our enemies. We have treaties with them. We trade with them. If we intervene on Sereth, we risk war." Minji looked at the arbiter. She looked at all of them. These powerful beings. These ancient species. These civilized creatures who had built wonders across the galaxy. And she saw them for what they truly were, afraid. "I understand," she said quietly. "You will not help." "The Concord regrets the situation," the arbiter replied. "But we must think of our own people first." Minji nodded slowly. She turned off her display. She stood in silence for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Humanity will respond." The chamber fell completely silent. The Ilari delegate laughed. It was a strange sound, like glass breaking. "You? The Deathworlders? You would challenge the Koreth Dominion?" "We would," Minji said. "Your species left your poison world barely a century ago," another delegate said. "You have a handful of ships, a few colonies. You are nothing compared to the Koreth." "Perhaps," Minji replied. "You will be destroyed," the Ilari continued. "The Koreth will crush you like insects. Your species will be erased from the galaxy, and the Concord will not mourn you." More laughter filled the chamber. Dozens of species laughing at the foolish humans who thought they could fight an empire. Minji waited until the laughter died. "You call Earth a death world," she said. Her voice was calm and cold. "You are correct. Our world is violent. Our gravity is crushing. Our weather is deadly. Our animals kill without mercy. Our history is filled with war and blood and suffering." She looked around the chamber. "You think this makes us weak. You think this makes us primitive. You think we are monsters who crawled out of a nightmare." She smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You are half right. We are monsters. But we are not weak. We are not primitive. We are what happens when life refuses to die. We are what happens when every generation fights for survival. We are what happens when death is not an ending, but a challenge." The chamber was silent now. No one laughed. "The Velith called for help," Minji continued. "They did not call for us. They called for you. But you will not answer. You will sit here in your beautiful station and discuss treaties and trade while innocent people die." She turned and began walking toward the exit. "We will answer," she said over her shoulder. "We will fight the Korith. We will save who we can. And when the galaxy sees what Deathworlders do when they go to war, you will understand something important." She stopped at the threshold and turned back one final time. "You should not have ignored us. You should not have feared us. You should have stood beside us." She looked at the silent delegates with cold eyes. "Now you will watch what we become when we fight alone. And you will wonder what would have happened if you had been brave enough to join us." She left the chamber. Behind her, the silence continued for a long time. Delegates looked at each other with uncertain eyes. Some felt anger. Some felt confusion. But some, deep in their hearts, felt something else. Fear, not of the Korith, of the humans who walked into darkness without hesitation. Of the Deathworlders who answered calls meant for others, of what was coming next. The Sol system had never seen anything like it. Ships gathered at the edge of human space like wolves preparing for a hunt. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and battleships. Hundreds of vessels from every corner of humanity's small empire. At the center of this fleet floated the Hammer of Dawn. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built. 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, armored with plates of steel and ceramic that could withstand the fury of a star. It was not a ship built for exploration or trade. It was a ship built for war. Admiral Choi Hanbin stood on its bridge and watched his fleet assemble through the main viewport. He was an old man now, with white hair and scars on his face and hands. He had fought in the Europa campaign when colonists rebelled against Earth. He had led the charge during the Mars insurrection when entire cities burned. He had seen humanity at its worst and at its best. Now he would lead humanity into its first true war among the stars. Commander Lee Nari stood beside him. She was his tactical officer, a woman in her 40s with sharp features and sharper mind. She had a reputation for unusual strategies. Battles that seemed lost would suddenly turn when Nari found an angle no one else had seen. "Final count," Nari said, reading from her tablet. 412 combat vessels. 97 support ships. Total crew complement of approximately 80,000 personnel. Hanbin nodded slowly. It was not a large fleet by galactic standards. The Korith Dominion had thousands of ships. Some of the Concord species had millions, but these were human ships, built to survive Earth's crushing gravity, crewed by people who had evolved on the most dangerous planet the galaxy had ever seen. "Have we received the final orders from Earth Command?" Hanbin asked. Nari handed him a sealed document. He opened it and read the words inside. "Locate the Velith of Sereth. Neutralize all Korith forces in the system. Send a message to the galaxy that cannot be ignored. Earth answers every call." Short, simple, clear. Hanbin put the document down. "Send the signal. All ships prepare for departure." Across the fleet, the order spread. Engines powered up. Navigation systems locked onto their distant target. Soldiers made final preparations. In the lower decks of the carrier Righteous Fury, Private Kang Do-yoon sat in the barracks with his squad. He was young, barely 20 years old, with a round face and nervous eyes. This would be his first real battle. All his training, all his simulations, had been preparing him for this moment. His sergeant, a woman named Ojion, checked her rifle for the 10th time. She had been in the Navy for 15 years. She had fought pirates and raiders on the outer colonies. But even she seemed tense. "You scared, Private?" she asked without looking up. Do-hyun considered lying. Then he decided against it. "Yes, Sergeant." Jiyeon nodded. "Good. Fear keeps you alive. Stupid people die fast. Scared people think before they act. What about the Korath?" Another soldier asked. His name was Shin Junho, and he was only a year older than Do-yun. "We do not know much about them. Only that they are big and strong and cruel." "We know enough," Jiyeon replied. "We know they attack helpless species. We know they take slaves. We know they enjoy causing pain." She finally looked up at her squad. "That tells me everything I need to know about how to fight them." "How?" Do-yun asked, without mercy. On the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn, Admiral Hanbin received a visitor. Dr. Beek Yuna was the fleet's chief xenobiologist. She was responsible for understanding alien species, their bodies, and their minds. She carried a tablet filled with everything humanity knew about the Velith. "Admiral," she said, "I wanted to share my findings before we depart." Hanbin gestured for her to continue. Yuna pulled up images of the Velith. They were small creatures, barely reaching a human's waist. Their bodies were thin and fragile, with long limbs and large eyes that seemed to glow with soft light. Their skin was pale blue, almost translucent. "They evolved on a low-gravity moon," Yuna explained. "Their world is gentle. Warm temperatures, calm weather, no predators larger than a small dog. They developed intelligence and technology without ever needing to fight for survival." "The opposite of us," Commander Nari observed. "Exactly. They are peaceful by nature. Their entire society is built on cooperation and trust. They have no weapons, no military, no concept of war as we understand it." Hanbin studied the images. Such delicate creatures, such innocent people, and they were being slaughtered by monsters. "When we arrive," Yuna continued, "they may be terrified of us. To them, we will look like nightmares. Large, heavy, strong. Everything they are not. We are going to save them," Hanbin said. "I know, but they will not understand that at first. They have never seen a human. They only know the stories the galaxy tells about us, that we come from a death world, that we are dangerous and violent." Hanbin was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "Then we will show them the truth. We are dangerous and violent, but not to them. Never to them. Only to those who hurt the helpless." Yuna nodded. "I will prepare first contact protocols. Gentle approaches. Calm voices. Nothing threatening. Do what you must, Doctor. But understand this." Hanbin's voice was hard as steel. "We will arrive at Sereth ready for war. If the Korath want to talk, I will listen. If they want to fight, I will destroy them. The Velith will see what we truly are, one way or another." The final preparations took only a few more hours. Ships finished their checks. Soldiers said prayers and wrote letters to loved ones. Officers reviewed battle plans that might never survive first contact with the enemy. Then the signal came. All ships. Jump. The Hammer of Dawn shuddered as its faster-than-light drive engaged. The stars stretched into lines of white light. Then they were gone, replaced by the strange non-space of hyperspace. 400 ships followed. 80,000 humans flying toward a battle that would decide the fate of a species they had never met. Do-yun sat in his barracks and closed his eyes. He thought about his family on Earth, his parents. his younger sister. He wondered if he would see them again. Sergeant Jian checked her rifle one more time. Admiral Hanman stood on his bridge and watched the hyperspace glow. 3 weeks to Sereth. 3 weeks to plan. 3 weeks to wonder what they would find when they arrived. The Velith were dying, but help was coming, and the Korath had no idea what was about to happen. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sereth system. For a moment, there was only silence on the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn. Then the sensor data began flooding in, and Admiral Choi Hanbin felt his heart turn to stone. Sereth was burning. The planet hung in space like a wounded animal. Great clouds of smoke rose from its surface, visible even from orbit. Cities that had once glittered with light were now dark and broken. Fires burned across entire continents. And above it all, the Korath fleet waited. Commander Nari counted the enemy ships. 47 combat vessels, Admiral, plus transport ships. They are ... harvesting. Hanbin saw what she meant. Korath transports were descending to the surface and returning heavy with cargo. But this was not ordinary cargo. These were people. Velith survivors being taken as slaves. The Korath command ship, Hanbin said quietly. Identify it. There, Admiral. The largest vessel near the planet. Twice the size of anything else in their fleet. Hanbin studied it through the viewport. The Korath built their ships like themselves, brutal and ugly. Heavy armor. Massive weapons. No grace, no beauty. Only power. Open a channel, Hanbin ordered. The communications officer obeyed. Within seconds, a voice crackled through the speakers. It was deep and harsh, like stones grinding together. Unknown vessels. You have entered Korath Dominion territory. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Hanbin stepped forward. This is Admiral Choi Hanbin of the United Earth Navy. You will cease all hostile operations immediately. You will withdraw from this system. You will release all Velith prisoners. This is your only warning. Silence. Then laughter. It was an awful sound, deep and rumbling. More voices joined in. The entire Korath bridge crew was laughing. Deathworlders, the Korath commander said. We have heard of you. The primitives from the poison world. You crawl out of your nightmare and dare to threaten us? This is not a threat, Hanbin replied. This is a promise. We have conquered 100 species, the Korath continued. We have harvested worlds beyond counting. Your little fleet is nothing to us. We will destroy your ships and take your people as slaves. Your bones will decorate our halls. Your skulls will become drinking vessels for our warriors. Hanbin looked at Nari. She nodded slightly. All weapons were ready. All ships were in position. You misunderstand, Hanbin said quietly. I am not asking you to leave. I am telling you. You have committed crimes against the Velith people. You have murdered innocents. You have enslaved the helpless. Earth does not forgive such things. And what will you do, Deathworlder? Your species is young and weak. You do not know war as we know it. Hanbin smiled. It was not a kind smile. We invented war, and now we will teach it to you. He cut the channel. All ships, he commanded. Attack. The human fleet surged forward like a wave of steel and fire. Korath weapons opened up, filling space with deadly light. But human ships were built differently. They were designed to survive Earth, a world where the very air could kill. They were armored against radiation, gravity, and pressure that would crush any Concord vessel. The Korath weapons struck hard. But the human ships kept coming. Then the humans fired back. Missiles screamed through the void. Energy weapons carved lines of destruction across Korath hulls. Human ships, faster and more maneuverable than anything the Korath had faced, danced through enemy formations and struck from every angle. On the carrier Righteous Fury, Private Kang Do-yun loaded into a boarding shuttle with his squad. Sergeant Oh-jian stood at the front, her face calm and hard. "Listen up," she shouted over the noise of battle. "The Korath are big and strong, but they are not fast. They expect their enemies to run and hide. They do not expect us." The shuttle launched. Do-hyun felt his stomach drop as they flew toward a damaged Korath cruiser. Outside the windows, he could see ships exploding. Fire and metal filled the void. The shuttle slammed into the Korath hull and burned through with cutting lasers. Then the door opened, and Jian led the charge. Da-hyun had never seen a Korath before. They were massive creatures, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick plates of natural armor. Their eyes were small and filled with rage. Their hands ended in claws that could tear steel. The first Korath warrior charged at Jian. She shot it twice in the face. It fell. "Move!" She screamed. "Kill everything that is not human." Do-jun raised his rifle and fired. His first shot missed. His second hit a Korath in the chest. The creature stumbled, but did not fall. Do-jun fired again. And again. Finally, the Korath collapsed. The battle inside the ship was chaos. Korath warriors fought with brutal strength. Human soldiers fought with speed, training, and weapons designed to kill things from Earth. A planet where everything was trying to kill everything else. Da-hyun found himself face to face with a Korath warrior that had lost its weapon. The creature swung its massive arm at him. Do-jun ducked, feeling the wind of the blow pass over his head. He jammed his rifle under the Korath's chin and fired. The creature fell. Do-hyun stood over its body, breathing hard. His hands were shaking, but he was alive. Outside, the battle continued. Admiral Hanbin watched from the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn as Korath ships died one by one. The enemy commander tried to rally his forces. He screamed orders. He threatened his crews. But nothing worked. Human ships were everywhere. They attacked in coordinated waves. They supported each other perfectly. When a Korath vessel turned to face one threat, 3 more appeared behind it. After 12 hours, it was over. The Korath flagship was the last to fall. Hanbin watched it drift in space, its engines dead, its weapons silent. Escape pods launched from its hull, fleeing toward the edge of the system. "They are running," Nari observed. "Let them go," Hanbin said. "Let them tell their empire what happened here. Let them explain how 400 human ships destroyed their fleet. Let them warn every species that preys on the weak." He looked at the burning planet below. Earth has entered the galaxy, and we will never look away from those who need our help. The last Korath survivors jumped to hyperspace, carrying tailies of monsters from a death world. Monsters who fought without fear. Monsters who would not stop. Monsters who called themselves human. The war was over, but everything else was just beginning. The silence after battle was always the hardest part. Admiral Choi Hanbin stood on the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn and watched the first human shuttles descend toward Sereth. The planet was still burning in places, but the fires were dying now. The smoke was beginning to clear. The Korath were gone. Their fleet was scattered across space in 1,000,000 pieces of twisted metal. Their survivors had fled to hyperspace, carrying stories of death and defeat. What remained was a wounded world and a broken people. And humanity, standing in the ruins, wondering what came next. Dr. Beek Yuna led the first contact team. She had studied the Velith for 3 weeks during the journey. She knew their language, their customs, their fears. She knew they would be terrified of humans. The shuttle landed in what had once been a beautiful city. Now it was rubble and ash. Buildings that had touched the sky were now piles of broken stone. Gardens that had bloomed with strange flowers were burned and dead. Una stepped out of the shuttle and immediately saw them. Velith survivors, hiding in the shadows of ruined buildings. Their large eyes watched her with fear. Their small bodies trembled. She was a monster to them, a creature from a death world. Everything about her was wrong. Too tall, too heavy, too strong. Una knelt down. She made herself as small as possible. She held out her hands, showing they were empty. "We are friends," she said in their language. Her accent was terrible, but the words were clear. "We came to help. The Korath are gone. You are safe now." The Velith did not move. They watched her with those enormous eyes, waiting for the trick, waiting for the trap. Then a child stepped forward. It was a young Velith, barely reaching Una's knee. Its blue skin was covered in dust and ash. Its thin arms were wrapped around itself. It looked at Una with curiosity instead of fear. Una stayed very still. She smiled gently. The child walked closer. It reached out one delicate hand and touched Una's arm. Its eyes went wide at the warmth of human skin. "You are not cold," it said in a tiny voice. The stories said Deathworlders were cold, like machines. Una shook her head. "We are warm, like you." The child looked back at the other survivors. Then it turned to Una again. "You came to save us?" "Yes. Why?" "You do not know us." Una thought about that question. She thought about Earth, so far away. She thought about human history, all those centuries of war and suffering and survival. She thought about what it meant to hear a cry for help and choose to answer. "Because you asked," she said finally. "And we heard." Over the next several days, human soldiers spread across Seraph. They brought food and medicine and supplies. They built shelters and treated wounds. They carried Velith survivors from collapsed buildings. With gentle hands, Private Kang Do-yoon found himself assigned to a rescue team in the northern mountains. The work was hard. The Velith were so fragile that a moment of carelessness could hurt them. But Do-yoon learned to move slowly, to speak softly, to be careful in ways he had never been before. One afternoon, he sat among the ruins of a mountain village, exhausted and covered in dust. A Velith child approached him. It was the same size as the one who had met Dr. Una. With the same glowing eyes and delicate form. It held something in its tiny hands. A flower. Somehow, impossibly, a flower had survived the bombardment. Its petals were bright purple, the only color in a world of gray. The child held the flower out to Do-yoon. He took it carefully, his big hands trembling. Such a small thing. Such a fragile thing. He could crush it without thinking, but he did not crush it. He held it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. "Thank you," he said. The child did not understand his words, but it understood his tone. It climbed into his lap and curled up against his chest, falling asleep within moments. Do-yoon sat there for a long time, holding a flower in one hand and a sleeping child against his heart, thinking about what it meant to be human. On Harmony Prime, Ambassador Yoon Minji received messages from the Galactic Concord. Dozens of species wanted to talk. They wanted to negotiate. They wanted to understand. She read their messages with cold eyes. The Ilari delegate sent apologies and offers of alliance. The same Ilari who had laughed when she said humanity would fight. Other species sent similar messages. Suddenly, the Deathworlders did not seem so primitive. Suddenly, the monsters from the poison world seemed worth knowing. Minji did not respond immediately. She let them wait. She let them wonder. Then she walked into the High Assembly chamber, the same room where she had been mocked weeks before. No one laughed now. You said we would be destroyed, she reminded them. You said the Korith would crush us. You said the Concord would not mourn us. Silence. You were wrong. About all of it. She looked around the chamber at the delegates who had ignored a dying species, who had let innocent people be slaughtered because intervention was too expensive, because the risk was too high. The Veleth are safe now. Earth protects them. And we will protect anyone else who calls for help, whether they call for us or not. She paused. You call us Deathworlders. You mean it as an insult. But Earth made us what we are. It made us survivors. It made us fighters. It made us people who do not abandon those in need. She turned to leave, then stopped. The galaxy can keep ignoring us, or it can learn from us. The choice is yours. She left them in silence. On Sereth, Admiral Hanbin stood on a hill overlooking what remained of the capital city. Commander Nari joined him. The Korith will come back, she said. They will bring more ships, more soldiers. They will want revenge. Let them come, Hanbin replied. We will be ready. The Concord is afraid of us now. Good, fear can become respect, and respect can become alliance. Nari looked at the sky, where human ships still orbited, standing guard over a world they had saved. What now? She asked. Hanb thought about that question for a long time. He thought about the Veleth children playing in the ruins, watched over by human soldiers. He thought about the signals still coming from other parts of the galaxy, other species crying for help. Now we listen, he said. We listen for other calls, other cries, and we answer them. All of them. He looked at the stars. Earth has found its purpose among the stars. Not conquest, not trade, not power, protection. We will protect the weak. We will fight the cruel. We will be what the galaxy needs us to be. He smiled. We are Deathworlders. And we are just getting started. The fleet prepared for its next mission. The galaxy would never be the same.